Good morning.
Howdy.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a little while. A lot's been going on. In case you guys can't read the sign behind us, it says saysorry.org. Still waiting for mine.
I'll get into that later.
Yes.
Okay. So, I want to thank everybody who sent me the 2021 Circuit Assembly videos. Very much appreciated. I haven't had a chance to go through all of it yet, but I do have enough clips here that we could do a lengthy video on.
Yes, and I want you friends to remember something, that there's nothing that you hear that comes across any Jehovah Witness elder's mouth in this type of setting, whether it be a circuit assembly, district assembly, that has not been carefully scripted out.
Yeah.
And it's scripted out for a reason. So we're going to take this script and we're going to just, add our opinions, and hopefully some of you friends will really think on a much, much deeper level.
Yeah, and once again, like Mike said, this is our opinions, which we're entitled because, we don't like censorship.
Exactly.
So we get to say our opinions. It's our channel. First, let's play the first clip.
Just to illustrate with a brief experience. Two adult witnesses were preaching with a very young child, and they had decided to finish their morning preaching work. However, for some reason, this young child was especially eager to go up and do another door, and that's exactly what he did. He knocked on the door by himself. When a young lady opened the door, the two adult witnesses rushed up to the door to speak to the woman. To their surprise, the woman had explained that she had just finished praying that someone would study the Bible with her. So what do you think? Mere coincidence? Or is this Jehovah at work making disciples?
Now, this is from the afternoon. I believe it was the first talk. And we have heard these kind of stories our entire lives in Watchtower.
Yeah.
And even as a fully indoctrinated Jehovah Witness, I always would yeah, right. I just can't believe that. Okay, first of all, in this one, these two sisters, they're supposed to be watching a small child. He says this is a small child. So are you so busy talking that you don't realize the child has run off? Now, any parent knows if your child runs off to a stranger's front door, you are running after them immediately.
Right.
Immediately. I mean, even if you're distracted and not watching a child, you would know what they were doing, by your peripheral vision. As parents, we develop a very fine-tuned peripheral vision on our kids.
Yes, that's true. Now, are you done with your opinion?
Yeah.
Okay, here's my opinion. Here's the problem with this example they're giving here, because they're going to use a young child in a scenario that is life-saving, right? This child, I just got done praying to study the Bible. Oh, look, I have this young child that's going to save my life, right?
Angels are directing him.
That's right, the angels are directing. How come Jehovah doesn't direct a young child to stop somebody from, snuffing out their own life? Where's Jehovah's Spirit there? If you're an ex-Jehovah Witness, even if you are a current Jehovah Witness, where's the angel that sends the child to stop you from harming yourself? Doesn't happen, does it? That's a reality check of this religion.
Yeah, and what about stopping the abuse of children?
You see the bullshit that this organization is capable of making you believe. Oh, look, Jehovah is using this little child to save this person's life. But yet Jehovah does absolutely nothing to stop the more serious problems.
Yeah.
Does he? Your God, Jehovah, is incapable of stopping the harm any more than he was incapable of stopping Cain from murdering Abel. I mean, if God sees all things, God knows all things, and God is a righteous God, he loves the righteously inclined people. He did nothing. In fact, what did he do? He actually provided an arm of protection for the murderer himself. Is that justice? Or is that contrived bullshit?
Exactly.
How'd you like my opinion?
Very good.
Spot on?
Yeah, very good. I like that.
Thank you.
And I know it's been a while since our viewers have seen a Mikey rant.
Oh, there's some more coming. Oh yeah. So at this point, you might want to go get yourself a cup of hot tea, maybe even make some popcorn, depending on what time of the day you're gonna watch the video, because you're gonna want to hear what we have to say.
Yeah, to the end. Watch to the end, because we've got a lot of information here. You can imagine several weeks worth of emails and information that has been coming in. And, thanks again to all of you who have been sending, this information and research and everything else.
And if you don't like my approach, we'll just look at it from, the perspective of entertainment value.
You are entertaining, dear. You make me laugh all the time.
I can be.
Yes, you make me laugh all the time.
Sometimes I can be like the royal pain in the arse, right?
Yeah, that too. That too. So we have another clip here.
What's the point? Well, we can be confident that Jehovah will send us to the right person at the right time by means of his angels. So yes, this is how Jehovah works to make disciples. But now let's consider our second main point, how we can work with Jehovah in making disciples. Here's 4 things that you and I could do. First, keep searching. Our preaching work is much like a search and rescue work. We search out those with the right heart condition. Even though some individuals do not want to be rescued, we just keep searching. Number 2, serve spiritual food that is appetizing to our listeners. Just as we would serve our guests their favorite appetizer or a nice meal, we also want to serve the people in the territory information that is appetizing to them. We take time in the preparation of our ministry to think of subjects that would stimulate their interest and spiritually nourish them. We adapt to the needs of our territory. Number 3, invest time and effort to follow up on initial interest. An investment can only grow if we make regular deposits. Return visits could be likened to an investment. Their spiritual appreciation and love for Jehovah and Jesus and the truth will only grow if we make regular deposits in their minds and in their hearts. Number 4, guide your Bible student. To illustrate, we might think of a driving instructor. The driving instructor first teaches his students the rules of the road in a classroom. But the practical part happens when he guides his student on the road. He actually gets in the car with them, drives in the traffic, and helps the student put into practice the things that they've learned in the classroom. Well, making a disciple involves many regular classroom sessions in the form of a Bible study. We progressively teach our Bible student about Jehovah, his purposes, his likes and dislikes, and about Bible principles. We help them to apply Bible principles in their everyday life. Yes, this is the practical part where we help them on the road of life. And even if they face opposition, we help them to defend Bible truths. We help them to become disciple makers. Yes, this is the hard work in making disciples with Jehovah.
And these are the 4 steps for indoctrination propaganda.
Well, there's a level of being awake that we all hope to attain someday. And it's going to take others a little longer to get there, and it's going to take others to get there just like this. What it takes is study, research, and being willing to accept that you've been lied to. Okay? When it comes to this book and Watchtower's propaganda, we have been absolutely lied to. Yes, there are some illustrations they use that are practical. Even the Apostle Paul uses an illustration that's practical. You know, do not be misled. You know, bad associations spoil useful habits. In my previous video, I showed everybody that doesn't come from the Apostle Paul. Doesn't even come from Jesus communicating that to the Apostle Paul. That came from a Greek poet, a Greek play. But it's sound wisdom, because bad associations can spoil useful habits. You know, let's just say you get invited to a party. This is not the illustration I want to eventually get to, but that's what I'm using right now. You get invited to go to a party. Let's just say you're invited to a Jehovah Witness get-together. And then all of a sudden, you happen to see an adult serving a minor a drink.
Oh, I seen that. Your mom was the bartender.
Shh, shh, shh. I don't want the audience to know that my mother was responsible for this. Yeah, bad associations, even in the congregation. But this is what I really want to get to, because as much as Jehovah's Witnesses love to feel that they're working arm in arm with Jehovah in helping to indoctrinate with Jehovah and all this other stuff that you just heard, I want to use an illustration, and I'm going to use this as if I'm talking directly to my mother. Mom, did you or did you not employ every single one of these tactics with your own mother? Did you not promise, Meme, that's French for grandmother, Meme, did you not use the Watchtower tactics to indoctrinate Meme that she's not going to grow old and die in this system? Did you not put all of those promises forth to her? You did. You did it with me too. You did it with my brother. My own dad. He used to love reading stuff when he was taking a crap. But what did my mother do? Well, excuse me, Mom, what did you do? You took away all that other reading material, knowing that he loved to read while he was taking care of his daily constitution. And you put the truth book there. My dad read. Oh my goodness, Jesus did have brothers and sisters. I was lied to by the Roman Catholic Church. You pushed all that Watchtower propaganda. How does that benefit you now, Mom, that Dad's dead? Meme grew old and died. Because remember, Mom, this generation will not pass away until all these things occur, including the Great Tribulation. You buried Dad. You buried your own mother.
And you're probably going to have to bury her.
And no, I ain't going to do that, because that's Watchtower's responsibility. That's right. Not mine.
It's the congregation's responsibility now, because since she is shunning us, they won't even contact us when she passes away. Yeah. So it's going to be their responsibility to take all of her estate and to bury her.
Yep. So when you've been indoctrinating everybody, cousins also included, Aunt Sandy, one day you're going to be laying on your deathbed and you're going to be sitting there thinking, you know, I wonder what it was that my son Michael found out that I should have really listened to, instead of listening to 8 men you know nothing about. In fact, one of those 8 men, while under oath, swearing to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, lied through his teeth. Keep pushing the propaganda, Mom, because you're going to continue to bury family members. You're going to continue to grow old, and you're going to die in this system of things. Because what Watchtower has is a big, steamy coffee cup full of bullshit. Why? Because you all got made to believe that Jehovah, what a huge ego trip that is. Look at, I get to work hand in hand with God of the universe.
Well, there's going to be a little bit more later on in this afternoon session about that.
See, now I haven't heard all of this, but
No.
but because I know the propaganda bullshit coming from Watchtower's mouth, Mom, I know where this is all going to go. You know why? Because not a damn thing has changed in over 100 years with these men, except the lies continue to come forth.
Yeah. Well, that's like in listening to these talks in this afternoon session, you know, I even told Mike, I said I had to keep taking breaks because
Yeah.
it's like, oh my God, I'm getting such a headache. It was the same thing we've been hearing for 49 years, for 42 years.
Yep. It's the same thing. Watchtower has got nothing new. When one prophecy, this generation will not pass away, it's all dead and gone. Because, you know, look, the millions now living have all died.
Oh, we'll be covering that too.
Do I know this subject or what?
It's because we're on the same page,
On
dear.
the same page. So I guess enough of that illustration. But Mom, stop and think about it. You told your mother, my meme, that she would not grow old and die in this system. She grew old and she died. That is a Watchtower lie. Here's the problem. You've got to quit lying to yourself.
Yeah,
That's the problem.
exactly. So we have another clip.
It's been so amazing to see how Jehovah's drawing of people to him is very personal between him and each individual he draws, and sensing the participation of the angels and the Holy Spirit at work and being able to work along with them is a huge privilege. And it really makes me feel like I have a window into Jehovah's invisible spirit organization in action, and to join him in that is very special and exciting and has brought me so much joy.
The invisible window.
Into God's organization.
Yeah, here's a window that you can look through, but you fail to comprehend. Kim?
That made my eyes start twitching. Remember Neil Pink Panther?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, Dreyfus's eye would start twitching.
Yeah. You know, just as that death ray is, you know, focusing on that, you know, that one eye.
Oh, this makes my eye twitch. Oh, I mean, it's hard to take any of this seriously. You know, what does she see? Visions of God's, you know, organization. And if you notice, she has crazy eyes when she's saying that. You know, no offense to Jehovah's Witnesses, because, you know, unfortunately, many of them have a good heart, and they really do think they are doing the right thing. But, you know, sometimes you just gotta be like, oh my goodness, they are so indoctrinated. And the thing is we all know, you know, all these years we've spent in Watchtower, we know you are constantly fed. You are special. You are Jehovah's children. You are part of Jehovah's organization. Look how special you are. You are going to survive Armageddon and live in paradise. You're special. All the rest of the world will be destroyed and gone. And look how special you are to be part of this. You know, that is very arrogant. And like Jeffrey Jackson, I'm going to use his own testimony from the National Rail Commission. How presumptuous.
How presumptuous to think you can work arm in arm with God.
Yeah, God doesn't need you. He doesn't need anyone to preach either.
So here's the window that you should be looking into.
Yeah. So she talks about Jehovah bringing in all of this growth, all of these disciples. Really? Look at your own 2020 service report. Minus 0.06% increase?
Decrease.
Decrease, yeah,
Yeah.
decrease.
Decrease.
Yeah, you don't even have a 1% increase anymore. So Jehovah is not bringing in any, this is not any increase. Jehovah is not bringing anyone else in. Think about that. Not even a 1% increase. It's a negative number. So how can you say Jehovah is bringing in disciples?
Well, you know what I hear when I hear this stuff, Kim? This is what I hear, because it wasn't too long ago, and it's still fresh in people's minds. Whether you disagree or agree, I really don't care, okay? But when you have
your very strong opinion.
It's my very strong opinion. When you have a child that you are trying to get that child to do their very, very best, and I get it. For some children, it's disheartening, especially if you're involved in a team sport. I know, because I was there before I became a Jehovah. I was playing baseball, okay? Our team came in last place. We did not get a trophy for being in last place. But you know what that caused us and our team to do? Strive to do
harder.
Better the next year. And guess what happened? I don't have to spell it out. These Jehovah's Witnesses have indoctrinated themselves for over 1,000 years, that when the government turns on, when Babylon the Great turns on, when the wild beast, see, I can't even get this shit straight no more, these buffoons that got me so flustered, right? Here's the thing. Now let me see if when the wild beast turns on Babylon the Great and, decimates her and brings her down to her death blow, Jehovah's Witnesses have always projected that they're going to be the last one standing, and then touching them is like touching Jehovah's eye socket. What's going to happen, Watchtower, when you go down first? Because right now, this community has accomplished what it has set out to do. Pay very close attention, friends, to what I'm about to say. The goals of the ex-Jehovah Witness community, now I'm not talking about all, because there are some that just want to be, media stars. But for those of us that work behind the scenes to get the CSA exposed, to get the Watchtower Babel Crap Society in front of government officials.
Done.
We've done that.
Check mark.
We have done that. Now, we cannot force the government to do anything. The government will do what the government is going to do.
And we've gotten a lot of this in front of the media. Now, I have been trying to tell many behind the scenes that many journalists, especially here in the United States, they do not want to touch Watchtower because they know what will happen. They will be slapped with lawsuits. Watchtower will go after them with a huge horde of, their legal
lawyers.
department. That is one thing that has increased in Watchtower's ranks.
Yeah, lawyers.
Their disciples may be down, but their lawyers have, skyrocketed. But see, that's the thing, is these journalists are afraid.
They're afraid.
Go after Watchtower and these, CSA lawsuits, because they are being slapped with these lawsuits. And so, it's very difficult to get media attention here in the United States. Believe me, I've been trying for years behind the scenes. So instead of going to journalists, guess what? They can't do anything about it anyway. So what we have been doing is we are contacting government officials. We would like to see them hauled into a Senate Judicial Committee. Something like that. And the thing is the government is kind of afraid to go after them because of the U.S. Constitution.
Right.
Freedom of religion.
Even if that religion allows you to practice openly human sacrificing.
Well, then it's murder, and then they will go after
Well, but you've got to get it out of the confine of religion first.
Yeah, like the blood issue.
Right.
You have to prove, and see, this is the difficult process of legal discovery. You
Right.
have to prove that this is human sacrifice, and they're violating people's human rights. But that is the thing, is, you've got to get past some of these laws in these countries.
Right.
But you have to prove the abuse.
Well,
And that's what we are trying to do behind the scenes to the government officials.
well, before I add to what you just said here, a good qualifier is a lot of you friends know that Kim was used in an interview with the BBC. You only heard a small snippet of what Kim actually told them. You know why you only heard a small snippet? Is because the rest of it had to go through the BBC lawyer so that they themselves would not be
Slapped with a
slapped
lawsuit.
with a lawsuit from Watchtower. So you guys have got to understand that there's a huge game being played right here. But getting back to your whole thing about, the blood sacrifice. You have to, and thank you, Kevin, you have to begin to think on much more deeper terms, because in the United States of America, in some states, you have to check your state legislation. Each state is different. I checked here in New Mexico, and it appears, without a more brilliant lawyer to be able to dissect what's being stated, in a lot of states, it is illegal to coerce anybody into suicide. And that's what this becomes. Because these Jehovah's Witnesses, because of the Watchtower indoctrination, they are capable of committing self-murder. And in some states, it is against the law for a minister or even a doctor, and the doctor's hands are being tied because of the Constitution. We have to become smarter to get around that. See, just doing a few little interviews here and there is great. But there's a much, much bigger fish to fillet. See, this is where Kim and I are at right now, looking into this stuff. So, if you guys want a little bit of an assignment from Mike and Kimmy, go to your state laws and look into this is what I did. All I did was type in New Mexico state statutes, assisted suicide, and see what your state has to say that, and then see if there's a way that you can get a lawyer to get around that, because that's what this becomes when you have someone from the hospital liaison committee going in there, no blood, no
Coercion.
blood. That's coercion to commit self-murder. See, guys, you've got to think beyond the Watchtower Babel Crap Society lawyers.
The minute those elders or any Jehovah Witness tells a patient that if they take a blood transfusion that they will be killed by Jehovah, they are disobeying Jehovah, that right there alone becomes coercion.
Or if the doctor says, a simple blood transfusion will save his life, and you have the parents or the hospital liaison committee, oh, no, that's conspiracy. Couldn't it be construed as conspiracy? See, guys, you've got to pull your heads out of someone's ass and realize that there is a much, much better way to go about this.
Yes. And we have another clip.
We read to her 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1 through 5, which describes how people would act in the last days. She immediately realized Jehovah doesn't like people lying. That thought appealed to her. She accepted a Bible study and attended an assembly.
Okay, my eye is twitching again.
Oh, this is all scripted, people.
Oh my God. Jehovah doesn't like lying. Okay, let's do a checklist. Mike, let me ask you.
Okay. I make no
Our
guarantee.
entire lives as Jehovah's Witnesses, what was the main thing with our problem with elders?
Oh, lying. That's simple.
We got so sick of elders lying to us and the congregation constantly. Constantly.
You see, and this was one of the things that, was that actually led to us waking up. A lot of people, when Kim and I first came on to this came into the Ex-Jehovah Witness community, a lot of you friends have asked, how is it that we woke up so quick? Why is it? It's because we had already been seeing things
For years.
that did not make sense, not only with what the Bible teaches, but also with what Watchtower teaches. Because when you read in the Bible, that Jehovah's Holy Spirit killed Ananias and Sapphira for lying, and you see an elder get up on the platform and say, brothers and sisters, we have a good opportunity to buy a brand new tractor. Ours is getting old. And all in favor say aye. Oh, like the dumb, stupid Jehovah Witness, we all said aye. Let's go ahead and spend the money. We got a good deal. And then the presiding overseer goes, whew, I'm glad you all agreed because we already bought it. Why didn't Jehovah's Holy Spirit strike that man dead for lying? You know why? Because the Holy Spirit ain't with this organization.
Well, look at the property scan in Cottonwood, Arizona.
Property scam.
We gave money ourselves to donate for a new Kingdom Hall in a nearby town, which was, what, about 20 miles away? Camp Verde, about 20 miles away. We donated to that Kingdom Hall for years, and they talked about splitting the congregation. They even went and bought property. Oh, well, this property isn't good enough. We need to buy another piece of property. So they go buy that property. And guess what? The only way into the property, since it was landlocked, was going through somebody. The easement road would go through somebody's property. Oh, well, we can't use that. So what happened to all that money that was in the fund for donations for those Kingdom Halls and those properties that they bought? And as we did a video years ago, that property was sold at over $100,000 loss to one of the elders. And he didn't put his straight name on the title deed when he bought that. No, he used his company name. So these elders sold it to themselves.
Yep.
And I filed a complaint, with the Arizona State Attorney General's office.
For fraud.
Because there was no resolution to sell these properties read to the congregation. I had proof of that. And guess what? Suddenly there is a resolution that suddenly turns up, but the ones in the congregation said they still did not hear the resolution for that property to be sold at over $100,000 loss.
Yeah, yeah.
So Watchtower lost on that because the elder sold it to himself and made a smoking good deal.
Do you trust the faithful slave?
I can't even trust your elders. The first thing I thought of, I know, my eyes twitching again, oh my goodness. First thing I thought of when I heard this is, what about the CSA?
Yeah.
And the pervos, they're hiding in these congregations. Oh, good Lord. Oh, good Lord,
Well, there again, just like Jehovah protected the murderer, Cain, he's protecting the lying snakes in this organization. Guys, it's not this difficult. You just have to quit lying to yourselves and listening to these broadcast lies right here.
Yeah, and this person came in the truth because Jehovah hates lying? Well, how long did she stay in the organization? Because the first time, she's lied to by an elder. Or look at the damage that article about the CSA did in the Watchtower study article. Mm-hmm. How many Jehovah's Witnesses, how many of you woke up and said, wait a minute, elders don't report CSA.
That's right.
You don't report it. Family went and asked their elder, this article is a lie. You don't report it. Guess what? He admitted they don't report it. But they are in the future. Well, that doesn't do anything for the past.
That's right.
For hiding it. So just hiding this alone, and the murders and everything else they know about, the elders hiding this information is a lie in itself.
That's right. Who's telling the half-truth and lies? Ex-lies. Ex-members or Watchtower? Who's telling the half-truths and lies? Your news media or those that don't succumb to the lies? Because if you don't believe what Watchtower says, you're an apostate. If you don't believe what the news media says, you're a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
You see how this all goes hand in hand? We have achieved, and we all have the capability of achieving a higher level of consciousness. And you know what happens when certain people do that? We become more dangerous.
Yeah. In fact, just this past week, I was accused of that.
I know you were. That's why I brought it up.
I was told that since I was in Watchtower for so long, my mind is more susceptible to conspiracy theories and fake news. No, it makes me more skeptical to where I don't believe anything I'm being told. I go check it out for myself. This is what makes a good activist.
That's right.
And I am not naive to just keep tunnel vision of what is going on. I am more skeptical, and I will watch and listen to anything. Doesn't mean I believe it, because I will check it out. But that is my prerogative.
Well, there again, your half of your city's burning down, but it's mostly a peaceful protest. Come on, people. We need to achieve the level of consciousness that our indoctrinators don't want us to achieve.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And we have to be willing to walk away and say, I'm done with the lies. I'm done with you filling me full of lies when I can physically see myself.
And I will not be censored.
No.
I will not be censored. If you're going to shut me down, I'm gone.
Well, here's the whole thing. Watchtower has already censored all of us. That's why we're on this side of the camera, exposing the bullshit that we're exposing, because Watchtower has censored us. Even a lot of the PMOs, they're afraid to say anything to their indoctrinated family because they know what's going to happen. You're going to get censored even further. This is the level of fear that the Bible, in the hands of an organization like Watchtower, is capable of accomplishing.
Exactly.
And yet, every Jehovah Witness is going to walk away from this, convention going, oh, thank you, Jehovah. You're such a loving, caring God. Wait till one day you wake up to the lie, and then you have family members that are still J-dubs. You're going to not love Jehovah so much then, or his organization, are you? They just don't get it.
We have another clip.
Another time was her meditation from Bible reading. She wondered, why would Jehovah want us to read all the names in First Chronicles? Pausing, she said, I know why. Because he wants us to pay attention to the details. It's important for us. And it was evident that Ileani was aligning her thoughts with Jehovah's thinking.
That is beautiful. Well, now, Sister Burris, could you also tell us how you feel about working along with Jehovah in making disciples?
This experience with Jehovah's Study makes me happy to be used by him in this way. And the sentiments of 3 John 4 come to mind. No greater joy do I have than this.
Guys, right now, I have such a huge bag of emotions I need to get out of here, because what she says right there,
It triggers you?
to a certain extent. This is what I've been screaming on this channel for a long time. If you're an ex-Jehovah Witness waking up and you're telling Jehovah's Witnesses to do their study and research, and yet you don't do it, what's the point? Other than just being a smiling face in front of the camera. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take what this lady said regarding, Jehovah wants us to know the details. I'm going to give you guys a factoid, a detail that Jehovah conveniently left out. Okay? But see, you can only get to this point if you study, research, and meditate. I'm going to ask every Christian out there watching this right now a question. And depending on what your church teaches, you may or may not have the answer. But I know Jehovah's Witnesses do, because they've been taught this. In the story of
Or they
Balaam,
presume to have the answer.
oh, yeah, exactly. In the story of Balaam and his talking butthole, his ass, his donkey, You all remember that. You know, the donkey wouldn't go as he's going down the path, and the master starts beating the donkey, and the donkey goes, Master, Master, why are you beating me? And then all of a sudden this angel appears. We all know the story. Okay, we all know that Balaam, and I'm going to throw Queen Jezebel in there, they led the nation of Israel to commit temple prostitution.
Fornication.
Fornication, right? Now, the question is this. I want you to specifically tell me what it is that Balaam and Jezebel taught that led them to commit temple fornication, to become apostates against Jehovah. Tell me what they taught specifically.
Well, Revelation even mentions,
That's
their teachings.
That's where I'm going. Because unless you think and research and remember what you've been taught, when you read other things, you're never, ever, ever, ever going to know. So answer the question. What did they specifically teach that led the nation of Israel to commit apostasy and temple prostitution? You don't know. Why? Because Jehovah, in his benevolent wisdom, didn't have that little detail written down. And if he did somewhere, then your Roman Catholic religious regurgitators, along with Constantine, didn't find it necessary to put it in the Holy Word of God. Now, I'm going to do this by reading an email sent to myself from Ugly Watchtower. Okay? This is all going to come together at one point. Now, this is a comment that she sent to me that someone is trying to rebut one of her videos. And I do have her permission to do this. It says, I think that maybe the confusion you've been running into with scriptures not seeming to add up could be due to not seeing the law for what it was. Or maybe you don't agree that the law, or just certain parts, was never a part of God's plan. Maybe you can clarify this. Either way, take a look at Hebrews 10, how Hebrews 10 starts out. And then he quotes Hebrews 10:1, for since the law has but a shadow of the good things to come instead of the true from the word of reality. We all know what Hebrews 1 says, okay?
Especially since you don't have your glasses.
Yeah, especially since actually I do have my glasses. Oh. How for me to forget, okay? So he goes on about verse 3, but in these sacrifices there is a reminder of sins every year. Verse 4, for it is impossible for the blood of bulls and goats to take away sins. He goes on, I think this agrees with some of what you're saying, and obviously we need Jesus' sacrifice to cover our sins in a way that animal sacrifices couldn't. Okay, I'm going to stop right there because the rest of it, to me, is redundant. Because with the research and study I've done, and I've even shared this, if you guys are not aware of our second channel, it's entitled Never Stop Searching for Truth, because a lot of the stuff that I'm saying right now is on that other channel, okay? Here's the thing. The scholars do not agree who wrote the book of Hebrews. They don't agree. They don't agree that Paul wrote those. Pick up a book from Bart Ehrman. He'll even tell you and he is a scholar. He'll even tell you they don't agree who wrote the book of Hebrews, because the things that Paul is describing wasn't part of the fervor going around during Paul's day. It was identified as happening later in the Christian history. Okay? So, now if Paul didn't write this, who's writing it and why? Now, this is where it all makes sense. Going back to Jezebel and Balaam, what did they teach that led them specifically into apostasy? Turning their back on Jehovah. I did a video on this and I've mentioned it a couple of times. In the book of Revelation, that Jesus Christ has to be different than the Jesus that converted Paul on the road of Damascus. Because the Jesus in chapter 4, I believe it is, that's critiquing the congregations, he also goes on to say with two congregations in particular, But I hold this against you, that you put up with the teachings of Balaam and Jezebel, that you allow eating of the foods sacrificed to idols. Now, you read the book of Corinthians, and what is Paul doing? He's advocating the eating of things sacrificed to idol. Why? Why? Well, they don't bother our conscience. We know that these things mean nothing to us. That's why you have Pauline Christians instead of Jewish Christians, because they were in conflict with each other. So, if the Apostle Paul in the book of Revelation is being relegated to teachings that lead people into apostasy, why would you ever consider anything Paul teaches as healthful? You can't, because Paul's teachings will lead you into apostasy, just like Jesus mentions in the book of Revelation. But I hold these things against you, that you put up with the teachings of Balaam and Jezebel, and Paul is thrown right in that category. But if you don't read with any level of comprehension, and you succumb to the, Jehovah wants us to know the details in Chronicles, once again, you're lying to yourself and you're not reading with any level of comprehension.
Okay, now we got to try to hurry along because we're running out of battery here and we've got a lot more to cover. So here's the next clip.
It was about confidence in the giver of life and trust in his promises. That is the power behind the principle. Jesus didn't need to worry about food. His trust was in his Father, whose love is constant, whose word is certain. So it wasn't just, here's an excerpt from a law book, but implicit faith in a loving Father who cannot lie.
Oh my goodness, there's so much in here.
For just a short clip, huh?
I know. Now, I tried to find the article this morning in my filing cabinet. I have a huge filing cabinet with quotes in Watchtower literature, and I spent several hours looking for this article. But we all know that many, many times they have said that the governing body is speaking for God. No matter what Jeffrey Jackson said, we know that the organization and Jehovah are like this. They are one and the same in Jehovah's Witnesses' mind.
And that's why they keep saying, do you trust the faithful slave? Yeah. Jesus does.
Yeah. So this information coming from the organization is as coming from Jehovah himself. They have been saying that since the 1800s, from the very beginning. So let's cover a few things that they have said that allegedly came from Jehovah. Now, this list could go on for a week. We all know that. For any of us who have done any research into Watchtower's history, we know this. I just happen to have a book here from 1920. Millions now living will never die. In one of the recent Watchtowers, they do a little bit of history on Rutherford, and they have a picture of an advertisement of that talk that he was going to give. Millions now living will never die. This book was written in 1920. How many Jehovah's Witnesses, or Bible students, since they weren't Jehovah's Witnesses, how many Bible students read this book and thought they would never die? How many are dead that were living in 1920? How many are still alive from 1920?
3.
Oh my goodness.
Well, now let's just backtrack for just a moment. See, in 1920, you would have had to been of an age of understanding that you wasn't going to grow old and die.
Okay, so many will say, okay, that was old light. Let's bring it down to like our generation. Mike and I are of the 1975 screwed generation. We were both witnesses, Jehovah's Witnesses, as children in 1975. We're teenagers, In 1975. We saw what was being said. I was promised that I would not even have to finish school. So I quit school. It was recommended we quit school and pioneer.
Pioneer.
Make Jehovah your life. because this end's coming, the end is coming. How many people sold their homes and businesses? A couple of years ago at the regional convention, one of the brothers even admitted, he was kind of like laughing and joking.
Yeah. Were you in the truth back in the late 60s and early 70s? Now back then, many of us believed that the end was going to come in 1975. Remember? That was our perception. And it was based on the calculation that 6,000 years of man's existence would end in that year. At the time, I was a teenager living at home, and our family, that included my parents and my brother, we thought the end could come by 1975, and consciously or unconsciously, we geared up for it. My mom and my brother started pioneering in 1971. I started in 72. My dad sold the house and simplified in 73, and he started pioneering in 74, which is the same year I went to Bethel. Now back then, when you went to Bethel, you were expected to stay for at least 4 years. And I'll be honest, that scared me at first. A 4-year commitment. But hey, it was 1974. And as an overseer told the whole group of us new Bethelites, and I remember his words clearly, odds are you won't finish your 4 years on this side of Armageddon. Needless to say, 4 years later, now more than 4 decades later, we're still on this side of Armageddon. Was Jehovah's Day late? No, we were early. Any delay was just a perceived one. And remember, perception doesn't change reality. The reality is Jehovah has an appointed time. It wasn't 1975, but it will not be late.
So that is coming right from their own mouths. So how many lies and promises that supposedly came from Jehovah
That's right.
and his organization that we were all promised? Mike and I, like I said, we wouldn't finish school. We wouldn't grow old in this system. We're in our 50s.
Well,
We're growing old.
Hey, I'm almost 60. I got just a few more months to go and I'll be 60. Hey, in a couple more years after that, I can qualify for Social Security.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd be on Social Security in this wicked system of things.
Yeah. You ask any Jehovah Witness from the 1975 generation, did you think you would grow old in this system? Did you think it would go on this long? So how many promises? So when this governing body, the faithful slave, says, this generation will by no means pass away. And they've been pushing that from the very beginning. Well, now they've changed that. The overlapping generation.
That's right.
They had to change it. Because we all knew it was a failed prophecy.
It was a lie from Jehovah.
Yeah. See, and that's the thing, is look at it. Look at all the promises. Oh, well, that's old light. It's a good thing we don't believe that anymore.
Yeah.
But how many people became witnesses with this book and Rutherford's talk?
Empty promise.
Thinking this was true. My own mother, she became a Jehovah's Witness because she believed these. She's shunning me because she believes these things she is being told. She has to be faithful to Jehovah so she can see my dad and brother again. And she doesn't even know their teachings. My dad was an atheist when he died. He had left the organization. Right. And yet she still believes that he will be resurrected. Not according to Watchtower teachings.
See, and there's the conflict. See, Watchtower teaches that, there again, it's based on, Paul's words in Romans that, the wages sin pays is death. So even if you're an atheist and you die, you still can come back in the new system. But what my mother-in-law fails is that he died an apostate. There is no hope for apostates according to the Watchtower's bullshit. There is no hope. It's done. It's over with. It's time you wake up.
Yeah. Yeah. And, in these clips and in these talks, I kept hearing, unless Jehovah draws them first to him. And we've covered all that,
Well,
But how does that apply to those who leave, okay? If Mike and I were drawn by Jehovah and then we wake up and leave, just like all of you who have left, if you want to use this narrative, if we were all drawn to Jehovah and his organization, and then we wake up and say, wait a minute, I was lied to, does that mean Jehovah failed?
Yep.
Is it because we exercised our free will?
Yep.
And the thing is, witnesses are told, oh, you have free will to choose. But do you really? Do you really have free will and choice? No, because if you leave that organization, you will lose everything. And I want to say I'm so sorry. In the past month, 3 ex-JWs and JWs that I know of have committed suicide. Did they believe in the promises? Obviously, they had such hopelessness and or the shunning that they just couldn't deal with this. So we're so sorry, to all of you families who have lost family members because of this. Now tell me, Watchtower isn't responsible for this.
They are.
They are. They are.
And the only way that Watchtower is ever going to be affected by anything is if you Jehovah's Witnesses quit going to their meetings and quit giving them money, because this is the only reason why they do this is because the money factor.
Yeah. Now, like I said, since we're running out of battery and this is already getting long, I just want to cover a few things here, and I think Mike has a thing or two to cover. And if there's more for the circuit assembly, we'll just have to do another video about it. I want to thank this person that sent me this. Now, we had covered Watchtower's resolutions for their business meetings, the corporation documents and resolutions that they voted on back in the beginning of December, if I remember correctly. Well, this, got this confirmed. I spoke to an elder and asked if the original resolution said the donations were for a special building fund, yes or no. He reluctantly said in an ambiguous roundabout way it was. Same MO as Jeffrey Jackson. Said it was just a slight mistake in the original wording. So here's a resolution that was read and they actually made a mistake in the wording, and this elder is verifying that. He's admitting to it. Okay? Mistake in the original wording. Next meeting they held another resolution to now send the money to the worldwide work. Guess what? 100% of the congregation supported the resolution. So what was that special fund about? Mm-hmm. They got the congregation to vote on that originally, and we made a mistake. So the next congregation meeting, they have to redo the resolution?
I know.
Now here's the kicker. I spoke to 2 physically and mentally in before the resolution as well. Both had no idea what the special fund was for. See, this is the thing. Jehovah's Witnesses are not educated. They're not asking questions. What is this money being used for? Where is it going? They just trust the elders. Do you trust the faithful slave? Well, do you trust your elders? No!
You shouldn't.
Both had no idea what the special fund was for. One thought it was for COVID charity. Most in the congregation are fast asleep. Scary.
Yeah.
Also, I calculated roughly based on half of the amount our congregation raised. Australia would have raised an extra $2 million just for Watchtower this campaign. I wonder how much of this will go to building or charity. Makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Yep.
Makes you wonder.
Yeah.
I know. Now, I just have a statement here that goes along with...
The sign behind us.
Yeah. We will no longer be working with any group. Any group. I am tired of some ex-JW's abuse of myself and others, and I will not work with them. I will not support anything they do. And it's just a shame that some people have to be so abusive, so demeaning, so condescending to others, and out to destroy others' lives. And, you know, it's just really sad. And like I've mentioned before, I will not be censored. I will not be told what to do, what to think, what to say, what to post on social media. And, you know, for anyone to try to put that influence over me, oh, big mistake. Big mistake. I had enough of that in Watchtower.
Well, you know, that's part of the issue here, is that some of these activists that do this stuff and try to reverse the narrative to make you or other people's look bad, you've got to realize that this is the Watchtower culture that we all left. This is programmed in a lot of people, and it takes some people longer to deprogram than some others. This is the Watchtower culture. You guys heard what we presented here. Look at it from a cultural perspective. We went around from door to door thinking that nobody knows the Bible better than us. See, we are being used by Almighty God Himself. What a huge ego stroke that is for some people. And some people can't let that go.
Yeah.
They can't let that identity go, because Watchtower is its own culture. It's its own culture. And for some people, when you leave that culture, you try to find another culture that fits that same program.
And like I've mentioned before, you know, just like the scene from Star Wars, Princess Leia, she tells Darth Vader, the more you tighten your grip, the more star systems are going to slip through your fingers. So, you know, when you are abusive and everybody scatters away from you, well, guess what? You're left alone. And, you know, it's just a shame, because a lot of the information and the things that work I was doing in this group with the property tracking, well, guess what? Now I've gone back to my own personal list. And yes, we are still keeping track of the property. So you can email me, KimmyAnnBrooks@gmail.com, and give me this information, because I am still doing that. I'm just not working with any group regarding that. Now also, before we leave, I just want to mention there is a new YouTuber, and I know there's so many of you new YouTubers that we just can't mention all of you. And, you know, keep up the great work. But this one was a very good video, because this is an ex-Jehovah Witness, ex-elder, and ex-Kobe. And the channel is Kevin and Shelley Dean. And I'll put a link down below. Kevin has done his first video. And this was triggering and very upsetting, because he is a CSA survivor. And great job, Kevin. You know, thank you for giving your voice to the community, and welcome to the community. And we hope to see more videos from you. But he talks about, it was so upsetting when he talks about, he called, you know, headquarters, the legal department, the way elders are instructed to when they get an accusation of CSA. And, you know, they give them the legal department, service department, back and forth. And he asked, can I give a prayer, you know, to the victim? No, you cannot. Well, can I give some encouragement, maybe an article or something to the victim? No, you cannot. How sad. You know, these are supposed to be shepherds, loving shepherds, shepherding the flock. And an abused sheep, you can't even offer prayer or encouragement?
Well, I actually have an
Wow.
opinion on that.
Well, the thing is this is a lie to what Watchtower is telling the courts and these commissions, these investigations, and the journalists and everything they've been putting out there. This is a lie that goes against what, you know, these elders are saying. It's a lie, because in their articles and in all these press releases and, you know, documents and, you know, statements, they are saying, well, even to the redress scheme, we will offer loving care to the victims. No, they're not. These elders are testifying that no, they can't even offer prayer to these victims. So, you know, this is a really good video, and like I said, I'll put the link down below, and I know you got something to say about this too. But I mean, it's just really upsetting of how Watchtower says one thing to the public, and they're complete opposite in private. They're liars.
Well, see, in my opinion, when I heard this, and I'm trying to sit back and sort this out, why would the organization not want an elder to say a prayer over the victim or share an article with the victim? Because in my opinion, that would be an open confession to the problem.
Admission of guilt.
That's an admission of guilt, which could be used in a court of law, because if that victim does go to the court of law and it becomes known that a prayer or an article was shared on that subject, then that's Watchtower being responsible.
Yeah.
See, there's always a reason why. And you have to remember, it's not a religion, it's a business.
See, and not only that, it would bring it down to the elders level. If an elder offers a prayer or encouragement, they're basically saying, I'm sorry this happened to you.
Right, that's an
Oh,
admission.
wow. You know, we admit we have a problem. We admit we have pervos in the congregation. We admit Watchtower has a serious problem, a systemic problem with CSA.
That's right.
So,
That would be an admission of guilt,
yeah.
in my opinion, obviously.
Yep. So, did you have
Yeah,
something else to cover?
I got one more thing. I recognize that my approach to all of this is not to everybody's liking, and I know that I have an ability to make people very uncomfortable. That's what I want. I want Jehovah's Witnesses to be uncomfortable.
You have to disturb that soil.
Well, it's the only way you're ever going to plant a seed in some cases. You have to disturb the soil. You have to say things that make people uncomfortable so that maybe perhaps one person might get it. Now, I recognize that, and I don't have a problem with that. I really don't. Because what I want to achieve might be different than what your goal might be. See, some people say, Mikey's too loud, Mikey screams, Mikey does this, Mikey's obnoxious. That's fine. You can have that opinion. Doesn't bother me. But I want to show an email from the other side of the spectrum, because there's just as many people out there that like my approach. And here's just an example. And it's short and it's sweet. Thank you, Malcolm. Dear Kimmy, love to you both. Could you please convey to Mikey my thanks for his work? Don't let faith be your excuse. Mikey has a wonderful knack for getting to the nub of things and expressing the ideas with stunning clarity. If this will not wake them up, what will? So just bear in mind, friends, not everybody views your approach to this channel as what others do, because there is a way to do that. Because as a Jehovah's Witness, we just showed what's coming up in the next Circuit Assembly line of talks. oh look, Jehovah has showed me how to do this. Jehovah loves his organization.
We're so desperate
we work
to make
with the angels.
We're so desperate to make disciples that we're going to go to a mall and preach to everybody in the mall.
Here's the thing. How many of you ex-Jehovah's Witnesses that like to criticize my or even Kim's approach, how many of you sat down there and was lulled to sleep because the person you're listening to was as boring as hell? Right? You all got lulled to sleep. How many of you ex-Jehovah's Witnesses are willing to admit that you were at a Sunday talk, a talk that you heard 1,000 times before and you're sitting there doing your fingernails? I'm talking about you sisters. How many of you Jehovah's Witnesses sat during a public talk figuring out your checkbook? You know why I can say this? Because I personally observed it myself. So did Kim. I do not want to be boring or bore people to sleep like Watchtower did. Go ahead and make your comments. It doesn't bother me because I know for 8 years or 7 years, let's see, 2013, September.
7 years.
I know the effect that this channel has had. And some of you might even wonder why we don't go to other channels that are non-Jehovah Witness channels and get interviewed by these non-Jehovah Witness channels, because we don't feel the need to network ourselves. We don't feel that need. In my opinion, the only reason why an ex-Jehovah Witness might do that is because they want to have their channel grow and they're using other platforms to do it. We don't want that because that's not our desire. Our desire is to help people get out of this organization that will be maybe one day asked to sacrifice their lives in an operating room while refusing a BS religious piece of crap like refusing blood.
Or if it can prevent one person from committing suicide, we've done our job.
We've done our job. We don't feel the need to network outside of this community like some do. Because I don't care if we have 30,000 subscribers or 30 subscribers. We don't network to make this channel grow. And personally, I view that like prostituting yourself. Why do you feel the need to do this? I just gotta ask.
Oh well. Oh well. None of our concern. None of our concern, because I think most of our viewers know where we're coming from. And all you new ones, now you know what page we're on.
Yeah, and don't forget to check out our other channel. It's called Never Stop Searching for Truth. Do I have that right? Well, we haven't used it in quite some time, so...
I will put the link down below. And that covers, several different things, not just things about the Bible or things I've even got some videos on there of, some things you can do on your computer. Little tips and tricks of, things that aren't working on your computer. So, anyway, thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Thank you so much for all of the tremendous amount of emails asking if we're okay and if, we're doing okay and stuff. And yes, we have been doing fine. We just have a lot of things in our personal life that we have been dealing with and working on and trying to get done. But we felt, probably best to take a break from that and do a video to let everybody know we're doing great and we're still in there fighting. Nobody is going to chase us away.
That's right.
So
guys, it is what it is. It's as simple as that. It is what it is.
Yeah, and unfortunately, as all of us in the Ex-Jehovah community know, that you just have to deal with all the drama and BS in the background, along with, our activism and what we're doing behind the scenes, trying to get, some legal stuff done against Watchtower, and it's just a shame that some just don't get it. Some just don't get it.
And you have to remember, this is a culture thing that's going on with some in the ex-Jehovah Witness community, because it's the culture that we all left. Because for some people it's very demoralizing, if you will, to think you went from door to door working arm in arm with the God of the universe, and to wake up one day and realize, oh my God, this is all bullshit. I've been lied to. And it's hard to re-identify who and what you are without the previous culture bleeding into how you are trying to re-identify yourself.
Exactly.
It is a complicated thing. But you have to be willing to step back and look at the reasons why you're doing what you're doing and how you're reacting the way you're reacting, because this is a watchtower indoctrinated culture. And for some that have been in it for years we've been able to put together the little lie here and the little lie there and this lie and that lie, everywhere a lie, and then all of a sudden we can see the big picture all at once. But for those that haven't been in for a very long time, you look at this little lie here, this little lie here, but you can't see the entire scope. You don't have the whole picture yet. So that watchtower culture indoctrination is still in you.
Yeah. So thank you everybody for watching and subscribing, and thank you so much for your love and support and concern about us. And like you can see, we are doing fine, just dealing, with some things in our personal life. And thank you everybody for the cards. I know you can't see them behind the sign, so thank you. We appreciate the cards and support and love. So you all have a wonderful week, and hopefully it won't be so long before you see us again.
Well, we still got some business projects to do too, so.
Yeah, and now that our side business is our main business,
Yep.
customer orders, those come first. And it's been difficult just keeping up with those.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway, thank you, and you all have a wonderful week.
Bye.